Everyone in the building thought Daniel Carter was just the night janitor. Quiet, polite, always pushing his cleaning cart down the endless glass hallways of Novatech Industries. While the real geniuses went home in black SUVs, no one asked about his past. No one wondered why he sometimes paused in front of conference room screens filled with code, reading them like a man reading old letters. To them, he was invisible, and that was exactly how Daniel wanted it. Daniel worked the night shift because it paid a little extra, and extra meant school shoes for his 8-year-old daughter, Lily, and asthma medicine when winter came. His wife had passed 3 years ago, and since then, life had become a simple cycle of school mornings, frozen dinners, late shifts, and too little sleep. Still, he never complained. He only kept moving. That night, the building was buzzing even after midnight. Engineers were still inside. Security was tense. Something big was wrong, and everyone felt it. Novatech's new AI system, Atlas, was supposed to be launched in 3 days. It was a billion-dollar product, already sold to governments and corporations worldwide. But something had gone wrong during the final testing phase, and the system was producing unstable predictions that made no sense. Worse, it was starting to overwrite parts of its own learning model, corrupting its core architecture. The CEO, Victoria Hale, hadn't left the building in 30 hours. Victoria was known in the tech world as the Ice Queen, calm, brilliant, and ruthless when necessary. She had built Novatech from a small startup into a global powerhouse. Failure was not in her vocabulary, especially not on the biggest launch of her career. Inside the main operations room, dozens of engineers stared at walls of data. Red warnings flashed across screens. Every fix made things worse. "We're running out of time," one engineer said quietly. "If we don't stabilize the core learning loop, Atlas will keep degrading. We might lose the entire model." Victoria rubbed her eyes, then straightened. "Then we rebuild." A senior developer shook his head. "That would take months." "We don't have months. The clients are already locked in." Silence filled the room. Millions of dollars were burning every hour. Outside, Daniel was mopping the hallway when he heard raised voices through the glass wall. He tried not to look, but his eyes caught a glimpse of a neural network diagram on the screen. His steps slowed. He frowned. That structure, it was wrong. Not wrong in design, but wrong in balance. He parked his cart and stared through the glass longer than he should have. The system architecture reminded him of something he had worked on years ago, back when he had still been Daniel Carter, lead machine learning architect at a defense research lab, before budget cuts, before whistleblowing, before he walked away from that life to protect his family. He swallowed and picked up his mop. "Not my problem," he told himself. But then he remembered Lily's school letter in his pocket, asking parents to sign for the upcoming science fair. She had written at the bottom, "My dad is really smart." His grip tightened on the mop handle. He walked away, then stopped. Slowly, he turned back. He stood outside the operations room door for almost a full minute before knocking. One of the engineers opened the door, clearly annoyed. "Sorry, sir, this area is restricted." Daniel cleared his throat. I think I might know what's causing the instability." The room went quiet. Victoria looked at him for the first time. "Excuse me?" Daniel's face flushed. "The recursive learning layer. It's feeding back into the prediction matrix without a delay buffer. It's creating an echo loop. The system is basically arguing with itself." Several engineers stared. One laughed nervously. "That's not possible. We tested that." Daniel shook his head. "You tested linear feedback, but your emergency patch rerouted secondary learning into the same pathway. It's subtle, but it compounds over time." Victoria studied him carefully. "And you are?" "Daniel, night janitor." More laughter, some of it uncomfortable. "Sir," the senior developer said, "we appreciate the concern, but this is..." "Run a simulation with a delayed feedback gate on layer C," Daniel interrupted. "Just 30 milliseconds. Watch the error rate." Victoria raised a hand, silencing the room. "Do it." The engineer hesitated, then typed quickly. The simulation ran. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then the error graphs began to drop. Fast, Someone whispered, "Oh my God." The system stabilized. The room exploded with shocked voices. Victoria walked slowly toward Daniel. "How did you know that?" Daniel hesitated. "I've worked with systems like this before." "What kind of work?" He met her eyes. "The kind you don't put on resumes." She stared at him, then turned to her team. "Give us the room." But now, one by one, they left, glancing back at Daniel like he was a ghost. Victoria closed the door. "Who are you really?" Daniel exhaled. "I used to design predictive combat AI, left after it was used in ways I didn't agree with. When my wife got sick, I needed stable work, no travel, no attention. So, Janitor." Victoria said nothing for a moment. Then quietly, "You just saved $100 million. Maybe more." "I didn't do it for money," he said. "I did it because it was wrong and I knew how to fix it." She nodded slowly. "Would you consider consulting with us?" Temporarily. Daniel thought of Lily asleep, at home, of overdue bills, of a future that always felt one step from falling apart. "I can't commit to corporate life again," he said, "but I can help stabilize the system." Victoria extended her hand. "Then welcome back to the world, Daniel Carter." Over the next 2 days, Daniel worked with the team non-stop. He fixed vulnerabilities no one else had noticed, rewrote learning constraints, and added ethical control, protocols that prevented misuse, scenarios the company had never publicly discussed. The engineers went from skeptical to silent admiration. Some even asked him to teach them. Victoria watched everything. On launch day, Atlas performed flawlessly. Clients were amazed. Stock prices surged. Headlines called it the most stable AI deployment in history. In the press conference, Victoria shocked everyone. "This success," she said, standing at the podium, "belongs to someone who isn't in the boardroom and doesn't even have an office. It belongs to a man who cleans our floors at night and reminded us that brilliance doesn't always wear a badge." Cameras turned as Daniel was guided forward, confused and overwhelmed. "This is Daniel Carter," Victoria continued, "and without him, Atlas would not exist today." Daniel froze as flashbulbs exploded. That night, after the building emptied again, Victoria found Daniel in the hallway. "You embarrassed me," he said quietly. She smiled slightly. "You deserved credit. I don't want fame. I know. That's why I trust you." She paused. "I want you to lead our AI ethics and stability division. Full authority. Flexible hours. Remote when needed." Daniel blinked. "Why would you give that to me?" "Because power without conscience destroys companies. And you walked away from power once. That tells me everything." He thought of Lily, of mornings without rushing, of being there for school plays. "I'll accept," he said, "on one condition." "Name it." "I still pick up my daughter from school." Victoria smiled. "Deal." Months later, Daniel walked through the building in a suit, but people still remembered where he came from. He never forgot either. He still greeted the cleaning staff by name, still ate in the cafeteria. One evening, Lily visited the office for the first time. "Daddy, is this where you work now?" she asked, eyes wide. He knelt beside her. "Yes." She smiled proudly. "I told my class you were really smart." He hugged her tightly. Behind them, Victoria watched, realizing that the most valuable upgrade Novatech had ever made wasn't to its technology, but to the way it saw people. Because sometimes the person who saves the future is the one everyone walks past.